On today's episode of Ask Your Mentor, we've got a great topic because it's all about leading up. It's about how do we better align with the individual that we roll up to in the organization? How do we get more support? How do we get more of their buy-in? How do we get them out of our way when we need them out of our way? So today's question comes from one of our followers, and she said, my boss has a habit of going around me and interfering with the way I want to lead my team. How can I stop the micromanagement and get my boss to empower me to lead the team the way I feel it needs to be led? Man, great question, and one that we hear quite frequently from individuals. And it's really all about leading up. And so often when we think of leadership, we think about it in terms of leading down into our team, but ultimately leading up is equally, if not more, important. So the first question we got to ask ourselves as it relates to the question here is, why is this lady's boss, why is he or she interfering in the first place? If you stop and think about it, most likely the biggest reason that they're doing this is out of fear. You see, they're afraid, perhaps, that the team isn't going to hit their goals. They're afraid that the team doesn't understand the strategy. They're maybe afraid that she doesn't know what she's doing in leading the team. And what this fear does is this fear creates an unknown. And therefore, the leader feels like they need to go in and they need to meddle. They need to get involved in a way so that they can make sure that the right outcomes are going to happen. So understanding what's driving our boss's behavior is the first critical component. The second critical component is understanding how do we alleviate that fear? How do we take away the unknowns? So I want to ask you a question. First question is this: what are your boss's goals? What are their aspirations? What is it that they want to achieve? What kind of a statement do they want to make to the organization, to the individuals they roll up to in the organization? Understanding their aspirations is the first critical component. Second critical component is understanding what it is that keeps them up at night. What are they afraid of? What's the worst case scenario for them? You see, ultimately, all individuals, we're motivated to achieve our goals, and we're motivated to make sure that our fears don't become a reality. So if we understand those two things from their perspective, now we can begin to develop our strategy in a way that shows them that we've got a plan in place that's going to help them to achieve their goals, and we are looking out to make sure that their fears never become a reality. We want to make sure that once we've defined out this plan, this strategy, that we're consistently communicating it at every opportunity, that we're demonstrating progress towards it, so that when we're doing updates, when we're having our one-on-ones, when we're sitting down and in those sit-down meetings or even conversations in the hallway, that we're taking the time to explain how the strategy is working, how we've minimized the likelihood of this possible negative outcome. And the more we reinforce this, the more confidence we give the individual that we roll up to in the organization. The more confidence that we build for them, the more they inherently will feel like, well, you know what? I don't need to worry about him, or I don't need to worry about her. And they'll go on to the next squeaky wheel. So in terms of leading up, there's no more powerful thing that we can do than make sure that we're communicating to our boss, to the individual we roll up to in the organization, that we've got a plan in place to help them realize what's most important to them and help to minimize the things that most concern them. Now, the interesting thing is, the more successfully we do this, not only will they get out of our way, not only will they empower us, but they will also lift us, because we're the ones who inspire confidence in them. That's the key to successfully leading